Perfect. We are all good here. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I think this is the third community meeting. In this case, we are gonna be covering the latest updates of the framework, Genkit framework, and also the latest updates on the AI monitoring side of things. So with that being said, I think Chris is the first one talking about the latest updates of the Jenkins framework.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you everyone for coming today. I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about some of the latest stuff that we're working on in Genkit. So if I'm assuming most folks here are already on the Discord. That's probably how you discovered that we were doing the community meeting today. And if you haven't, I highly recommend checking out the announcements tab where you can see all of the details regarding our latest release of Genkit JS 1.8. It comes with a bunch of exciting features like dynamic model support for Gemini, Imagine, and Olama, dynamic tools, pass-through for unknown config options, and a fix for some Gemini safety settings to make it easier for you to ensure that your outputs don't get blocked depending on the type of content that you need. Today, I want to demo and highlight two of my favorite features. And these are like my team was kind of making fun of me because I was like outrageously excited for some of these because I've been wanting them for a really long time. But dynamic model support and pass-through for unknown config options, I think is going to make it a lot easier for developers to be able to take advantage of the latest models and the latest model features without needing to update their packages every time, because we know that that can be kind of a burden, or without needing to wait on any updates from the Genkit team, to be honest. It'll also make it a lot easier for, if there's any, I know that Javier is like an extremely prolific community publisher. But if there's anyone else here who's tried creating some Genkit plugins and maintaining them, I think you'll find that these features will make your job a lot easier as well. So with that, is it okay if I take over sharing the screen?
Sure.
All right, let me go ahead and present. All right. So here I have an app that I kind of vibe coded in Firebase Studio. For those of you who haven't heard it, Firebase Studio is one of the latest announcements from Firebase that makes it easy for you to generate apps, full stack Next.js apps using a prompt. So it's kind of the best way to vibe code with Firebase these days. And the other really exciting thing that I mentioned at the last community meeting, but if you weren't there, is that not only does it use Genkit to actually generate the apps, given the prompt that you give it, but it also uses Genkit by default as the AI framework to power any AI features that are part of the app that you generate. And it does a pretty good job also adhering to some of the latest best practices now, thanks to a lot of work that Pavel and others in our team have had to make the experience much smoother. So in this case, I generated an app called Fridge Feast, where you can provide an image of a fridge full of food, and it will generate some recipes for you. So let me go ahead and, wait, hold on. I'm just sharing my tab, not my window. Let me go ahead and fix that. Here we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and Google search fridge with food inside. Let's pick a good one here. Something that doesn't have too many options so that we can kind of easily validate that it works. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the image address. Let's put that into my little vibe coded app. I also realized that I missed an opportunity to call this a fridge image a frimage. I think that would have been a lot more unique. In fact, I don't know if frimage is taken in the App Store, like frimage generator. So maybe that's my next opportunity. All right, so we're going to generate some ideas here. And boom, you can see that it said cabbage and tomato stir fry with beans or tuna. that does seem to line up with what we have available in our fridge, or banana pancakes. I imagine that it's hoping that we have some flour that's not being shown here. So you can see on the left side here that the model currently powering this is Gemini 2.0 Flash. And in the olden days, before Genkit JS 1.8, you had to manually import like the constant that corresponded to the model that you wanted to use from the plugin. And you needed to use those constants everywhere. And they got pretty ugly once you got to some of the more like advanced model names. Today, you have a new helper from the Google AI plugin. This also works with Ollama or Vertex AI, where you can just add the model string directly, exactly how it appears in the Google AI or Gemini documentation, and it'll just work. Now, similarly, you can also, let's say I want to use the absolute latest model that just came out from Google, right? And I don't want to have to update my packages. I don't want to have to really refactor any of my code. So what I can do is go here. Let's do Gemini. 2.5 Flash preview. Excellent. Let's see. I think this was, there we go. Gemini 2.5 Flash preview. Now I'm going to save this. And the other cool thing is that with pass-through config, what that means is even if we don't have any new, like any of the latest, let's say a new model feature included in this version of the plugin that you're using, or officially supported in this version of the plugin that you're using, what you can do is pass the parameter anyway as it appears in the Gemini documentation, and it'll pass through directly to the API. So even though it's not part of the plugin officially, it'll still get passed to the API and it'll work. So thinking config is a good example of that for Gemini 2.5 Flash. So now I'm going to go and reload my app. I already saved my file. And let's go ahead and rerun this. And what we'll likely notice is that the generation is going to take a little bit longer because now we're actually passing it a thinking config. So it's going through a few more thoughts. Nice. And it still works just fine. The other cool thing with dynamic model registration is that before, you were limited to when you went to the dev UI, you were limited to the set of models that we explicitly registered inside the plugin, right? And if you want to get access, again, to the latest models to be able to play around with in the developer UI, let me zoom in a little bit here and make that easier to see, you have to update your plugin. A couple of things that we did to the Google AI and Vertex AI plugins are that now it uses the model list functionality. So as soon as the latest model comes out, like you'll notice that we give you access to all of the latest models from Gemini. It'll appear immediately here without you needing to change anything about your Genkit setup or configuration. So first, let's test this prompt, generate an amazing recipe for a breakfast meal given the contents of this fridge. With we're going to use Gemini 1.5 Flash first. All right. And if I want to compare to see how does this match up with Gemini's latest models, I can really easily go to any of the models listed in the developer UI, just rerun the same prompt. I believe this one's going to take a little bit longer because it's going through some thoughts. And it'll just work. So you can kind of compare back and forth, try conversations with either of the models. They both support, the dev UI natively supports image adding if you want to play around with some cool visual ideas. And of course, you still have access to prompts or to Flow Runner and everything else that you need. So yeah, I think that essentially concludes my demo. If you want an easy way to get started with the Genkit, think about Firebase Studio as a great way to do that in the context of an app. And if you want to use the latest models from Google, you no longer need to, or from Olama, you no longer need to manually update your packages or do anything to get access to those models. And we're adding support. We're working right now to add some of these new capabilities to our more popular community plugins as well. So yeah, thank you so much. With that, I think I'll pass it to Cleo. Are you next?
Yep. Thanks so much, Chris. Hey, folks, I'm Cleo. I'm an engineer on the Firebase Genkit monitoring team. And I'm excited to talk to you about some of the Firebase Genkit monitoring stuff. And Chris, you pointed out Firebase Studio, and it turns out I think our demos are also going to feature a lot of Firebase Studio because it's just so quick to spin up an app, especially for demos. So buckle up, you're going to see a lot of it.
I do want to mention I made this app like an hour ago.
I know,
this
yeah,
demo
it's so fast. It's so fast, yeah. Okay, cool. So I wanted to start off because we sent out a survey in the Discord, and I just wanted to take an opportunity to sort of share the results with you. And so what we asked was, hey, folks, if you're not using Firebase Genkit monitoring, why not? And we just wanted to get a sense. And we got 17 responses, which is pretty good. Like it's not a ton, but it sort of gives us some signal. And most of you said like, hey, I haven't actually deployed to production yet, which is cool. But then a lot of you also said, like almost the same number of people said, I don't even know what Firebase Genkit monitoring is. And that was something where we were like, hey, we got to connect with the community a little bit more. And so that's why we're here. And then a few of you said, I tried it and I couldn't get it to work, which is always a sad thing for us as developers to see. And so if that's you, please reach out. We want to help you get set up successfully. So with that, let's jump into what Firebase Genkit monitoring is. So you're probably pretty familiar with this dev UI. This is what you might use locally to play around, to see what traces you have, to experiment with models, as Chris was showing, with all those awesome new capabilities. But when you get to production, you're sort of left in the lurch, right? Like, are you logging all this stuff? Where is it going? And so we on the Firebase team said, hey, we think this is a problem, and we want to provide kind of a very vertical solution, a very pointed solution for looking at AI interactions and understanding what's happening. And so I'm going to jump into a little app that I built. Hey, look, it's Firebase Studio. To show you just how easy it is to get started.
I think you're still sharing your dev UI window.
Sharing this stuff. Took a second.
Yep, there you go.
All right, sweet. So this is a little tic-tac-toe. My cat is also, I don't know if you see her tail going back and forth, but she's really trying to make this demo hard for me by turning off my screen. Oh my goodness.
I think we call those Gen kittens. Is that right?
Yeah, she's right here. You can see her. Hello, Pike. Say hello to everybody, you nuisance. She likes to make my life hard when I'm demoing. Okay, so let's jump into how would you onboard this thing. So here you see a very simple setup. I'm using Gemini 2.0 Flash. Maybe you actually want to see what this app looks like. It's just a little tic-tac-toe app. Here we go. It's loading up.
We don't see any screen, Cleo.
Oh, no. Thanks, Pike. You did an awesome job of just turning it all off. All right. Are we back? Are we fully back? Here we go. Okay, great. Sorry about that, folks. All righty. Maybe it'll load. Taking a minute. All right, well, that's fine. It's a tic-tac-toe app. You know what it looks like. You can click on buttons and set X's and O's, and the AI is going to respond, and it's going to give you a hard time. Okay, so now I want to deploy this thing. And so I'm going to go into the Firebase console, and I'm going to say, hey, yeah, I'm ready to deploy this thing. I'm just going to deploy it as any Node.js platform. This is the next app, but that will do it for me. And then I'm going to add a few lines. So I'm going to go ahead and install Firebase. And then I'm going to copy this into my config here. Alrighty. So that's really it. Those couple lines. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to take all the traces that Genkit is collecting behind the scenes, and it's going to export those to cloud monitoring. And so that's what's sort of holding those behind the scenes. And then Firebase is going to create an absolutely delightful view on top of that. So rather than have you wait while it all deploys, let's jump into a demo app that we have that kind of showcases a bunch of this stuff. So once you have deployed your app and you've got things flowing through, this is where you'll land. This is what we call the feature dashboard. And here you can see all of the different features and the volume of requests that you're getting to those things. You're going to see your success rate, which, you know, looking at this thing here, it looks like our flow chat session potentially is having a kind of rough time. And so that's really interesting. And then, you know, your latency. And so this one here, let's see, the generate call was super high latency here. And so maybe we actually want to look into that. And so let's do that. So you all are probably familiar with Generate. This is the direct model interaction that you can do in Genkit. And here we can look at that individual feature, and you get the same thing. So, and in addition, you're going to get your token counts. And so you can get a good sense of like, hey, how much is this actually costing me? It's a little bit hard to approximate cost, but token usage is at least a good start. And then you're again going to see the volume of requests for that, your success rate for that individual feature. And then here we give you a breakdown of the latency, so you can see your P50 latency versus your P95 latency. So what are customers experiencing in the average case and in kind of the worst case, to help you understand that customer experience better. Scrolling down, we have a table here. This is a bunch of traces. You might recognize a similar thing in the Genkit Dev UI when you're looking at traces there. And here we also have this little quick filter, which is kind of nice, which will show you, hey, where are things failing for me? And so you can click those show traces, and it'll show exactly those ones that aren't going well for you. We can click into one of these and you can see, oh, right away. Looks like we've got a schema issue, some type stuff going on. And so I can go in and look at that right away. And so let's look at a complex one here. Let's go to this flow tourist activities. And so here we've got a more complex one. And you'll recognize this format, hopefully, from the Dev UI. We tried to really keep that familiar for folks. And so again, you're going to see all of the different steps in your trace. This one in particular is going to grab the weather for you before it passes it off to the model to get you a response. And then it's going to put together an itinerary. And so, as I mentioned before, this is all backed by cloud logging and cloud monitoring. And if you want to, you can actually go into cloud logging. Let me share this instead. And this will deep link us right into that particular trace. So you can see exactly what is being logged in the cloud console. It's not as pretty, but everything's there. And one of the things that's really nice about that is, like, for instance, in the Firebase console today, we don't support free text search, but in Firebase or in Cloud Console, you absolutely can do that. And so we're using kind of the power of the Cloud Console for some of those the more advanced features that we haven't gotten to yet. But it's a really powerful tool to have backing there. And that's what I had to show for the overall walkthrough of AI monitoring. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Polina, who's going to talk about a couple of private preview features that we're working on.
Thanks, Cleo. Let me share my screen as well. Well, hopefully everyone can see this one. Hello, everyone. My name is Polina, and I am an engineer on Genkit monitoring team as well. Nice to meet you all. So as you saw in Cleo's demo, Firebase Genkit monitoring right now provides developers with in-depth visibility into the usage and stability of the deployed AI features. And what really sets LLM features apart is the need to understand the quality of the nuanced behaviors that LLM features are experiencing, right? As you saw, Genkit monitoring helps you explore the inputs and the outputs of the traces, which provides an enormous help with this. But really, the true judge of whether something is working for the user is the user. And developers using LLM features have really caught on to this. If, as an app user, you have seen a pop-up asking you to rate your experience, specifically with LLM features, that's what I'm talking about. So thumbs up for good stuff, thumbs down for random hallucinations. Remember the first Gemini days where you would see those thumbs up and down. And we are bringing the ability to view these metrics side by side with your app stability and consumption metrics in Genkit monitoring. So as you see on this page, the top callout is there to help you get enrolled into the feature to understand the Genkit feature usage. It is currently marked as experimental, as in it's in closed private preview. So in order to go ahead and implement it, you'll need to request access, and we will be happy to grant it to you. So once requesting access, you will be prompted out to this form, which you would fill, and we will contact you shortly. So once you do that, you will be presented with a new view to view instructions to implement the changes into your Genkit flow. And once that's done, this is the dashboard you will be seeing. So we will be giving you the ability to implement the user sentiment in two ways. One, the traditional direct user sentiment with a qualitative and quantitative metrics such as thumbs up and down and the accompanying commentary in case you want to dig deeper into what went wrong or went really right with your LLM feature. So this is something that you will be able to see directly on your flows. So we see that that joke flow in my fictional app has gotten quite a lot of feedback. 28 thumbs up and, oh no, 158 thumbs down. Thankfully, there are also some comments to help me understand what's going on there. In addition to this very direct user sentiment, we also implemented user acceptance metric. And you may ask what it is. Well, it is the metric that actually doesn't measure the user sentiment directly from the user, but it kind of implies it from the user's perspective through their actions. The reason for implementing this is because, as you also might have experienced, not everyone clicks thumbs up and down. More often than not, you skip them. So the signal from these, while it comes directly from the user, might be diluted just by the number of the users who are giving this feedback. So user acceptance metric helps you to evaluate every single inference that happens to make sure that no sentiment gets uncaught. So if you're, say, a movie recommendation app, perhaps your user acceptance metric would be, okay, I recommended this movie. Did the user start watching it? Or perhaps did they save it into watching later? If they did so, probably they liked your recommendation feature. So this is the user acceptance metric that will be working for every single inference for you, which as a developer you would describe. And we think that this is really going to be driving your understanding of the user sentiment. Therefore, we're putting it at the forefront of our dashboard right above the user stability metrics. In the case of this app, well, it seems like the user acceptance is clearly flaky, which is also correspondent to the feedback numbers we've been seeing. Once you go into the feature itself, you will see that for the feature, you get an even more detailed view on your user acceptance and feedback metrics. So user acceptance will not only show you the graph over time, but also the change over time and the absolute numbers, while the user feedback provides you this, my personal favorite, the feedback feed, actively showing you what things have been happening within the app and what users have been telling you about. So we can explore both the positive feedback and the negative feedback for the app. I did not laugh. Oof, that's painful. So if you want to explore more what went wrong with specifically this trace, you can click into it and boom, you're in Trace Viewer, which will give you an overview of the user feedback in the context of your inputs and outputs. In the case of this flow, we didn't have input actually, we just wanted to tell a joke. So you can not only see your user feedback in context, but also as you scroll through, you can always refer to it right at the top of the trace. So all the summary is here, what kind of feedback it is, and whether the feature was accepted or rejected. So you can take this back and think of how you can improve the experience. To reiterate, this feature is in early access. One caveat is that we learned from our early adopters, some of you, that there is a potential to reduce onboarding friction, and we're actively working on it. So if you're interested in integrating this into your flow with a little heavier lift for now, please fill out the form. I'll share the link in the chat shortly. Now, I will pass it to Ali to talk about more ways to evaluate your LLM's features' qualitative performance.
Thank you, Paulina. Hey, folks, I'm Ali. I'm also an engineer working on Genkit monitoring. And guess what I have in store for you guys today? Another app vibe coded on Firebase Studio. Surprise, surprise. So I have this app which uses Gemini to build backstories for D&D characters, and we can like enter in a few details and see Gemini do its magic. And let me just show you how that works. Just going to use some old inputs I've already used just to keep things moving quick. And yeah, let's generate a backstory. And voila, there we have it. We have a nice little backstory for our D&D character, but I think we can do a lot better with this backstory. I'm particularly not happy with like how long this is, and I don't think like this is going to create a good experience for my users. So I want to try out a different prompt that can hopefully give me a more concise backstory for my character that might be more engaging for my users. And since my app is already in production, I want to be able to use production data and run some evaluations on it so that before I release my new prompt to production, I can be confident that it's going to do well out there. And yeah, so let's take a look at how Genkit monitoring can help you do that. So we'll head on back to the dashboard, and this is the flow I was using over there. We'll open that up, and straight off the bat, you see this magical button called download. Now, what this button does is when I press it, all the traces that you're seeing over here, it's going to download them in JSON-L format with the trace ID, input, and output that you can use to run evaluations or like do, other things you want to do with it. And yeah, if I want to download more traces, I can just increase the size of the table, or I can use filters that, let's say, if I want only traces that took more than 4.2 seconds to run, or like if I want to download just a single trace, I can go into the actual trace viewer and download it from over here. So what I'm going to do right now is to test my prompt, a shorter prompt. I'm going to download the 5 latest traces that I have, and I'm going to head on over to Firebase Studio. I've already prepared a shorter variant of my prompt. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to switch out my prompt with the shorter version of it, and I'm going to start up Genkit dev UI. And yeah, I'm gonna give it a second to start up. Blah blah blah. Da, da, da. And here we are. So with my prompt switched out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my um, my flow, and I'm going to upload the data I just downloaded thanks to Genkit monitoring, and I'm going to run an eval on it with the new prompt, and we'll give it a couple of seconds. And there we have it. Well, I'm able to verify my new prompt against inputs that I got from production data. And yeah, I can continue to iterate over my prompt or like do other things, try to debug it if there's any issues or whatever. But yeah, so with that, I'll hand it back to Cleo for Q&A.
Thanks, Ali. That was a rad demo. Awesome. So I hope you all got a good sense of kind of what is Firebase Genkit monitoring, why would you want to use it, and what are some of the useful features to kind of close that developer loop for you. At this point, we just want to open it up for Q&A and answer your questions. So yeah, Chris, go ahead.
This is like, I'm just curious, because I saw that there were like 160, thumbs down for the joke generator and like 30 thumbs up, and I saw comments on there too in Polina's demo. Did y'all generate that many comments or like manually input them, or or only like a few of them have comments?
That's the beauty of the AI technology. So we used Gemini to evaluate how good Gemini's jokes are. And it seems to be, quite strict with itself.
It's a pretty harsh critic,
Well, I saw that it was going up too. Like, did you upgrade to the new model and the jokes got better? Or
Actually, we did yesterday, that too.
Excellent. All right. That was my question. Thank you.
Amazing. All right. Any other questions that folks have? Yeah, Renan. You are muted. You are still muted, and we so want to hear what you have to say.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was saying thanks a lot for all these demos and showing the features in more details, and so very, very nice. Actually, I showed Genkit to some of my customers, more the business side of my customers, and they were clearly really impressed, in particular by the dev UI and the possibility of trying different models, looking at the number of tokens and so on. You see, because they see the possibility to by themselves to try different LLMs and different prompt and so on and so on. And it's obviously very interesting for them, especially for the ones that are not prompting engineers. They will kind of do a trial and error to find the best model and the best type of prompt. My question is, do you have any plan to open these possibilities to non-developer people? What I mean is that if you want to use it, you have to have your IDE and to install Genkit and to use the terminal to start the dev UI and so on and so on. And for someone who is not a developer, it's quite frightening. Of course, we could use what you shown, Chris, having a kind of a list of different models in a front end, in a web page, and passing it to Genkit, and then and switching between models. But having something in place, or how to say that, already developed and available in the framework will be really, really interesting. I think so.
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is actually something that we've an idea we've been toying around with, but it's still very, very early. So I can't make any guarantees about like the direction of when it'll land or if it'll land. But now that, especially with dynamic model registration being a relatively new thing, so we don't have to constantly make updates to the plugin to be able to keep up with the latest model releases. There's been some idea of enabling users to use the dev UI, particularly to do the model exploration bit that I kind of showed off a little bit, without needing to create a project, without needing to have any starter code. Right. In theory, we might be able to build in some of the implementations for the plugins into the dev UI so that you can just pass an API key somewhere in the UI and essentially use it as like a nice little model playground for any of the providers that you want. Which I think would make it easier probably for non-developers to essentially use that part of the dev UI and maybe even start constructing prompts, right, before you actually have a project, so you can kind of save them for future reference. Yeah, very, very early idea, but I'm curious, is that kind of along the lines of what you were thinking, Renaud, or were you thinking more like a hosted experience somewhere in Firebase?
I mean, anything that will ease the life of non-developer people to being able to play with the different models, the different parameters, everything that you can fine-tune will be very great, I think so, and will be in favor of using Genkit, you see, and it will bring more value. I mean, as developer, we totally see the value of Genkit, but for non-developer, for the business, it will really bring and show some value of Genkit, of using Genkit, that they can also take advantage of it. So, like you said, if you have an easy solution to without a full big infrastructure or big developments, but an easy way to make that easier for non-developer, I think it will be either a quick win or quite interesting. Yeah. I hope I'm clear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for that feedback, Renaud. Iman, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, follow-up question. So do you mean like an existing Genkit app, it can be monitored, like tested around by non-developer audience, or do you want a tool that allows non-developer audience to build apps using Genkit?
What I've seen, and I really saw the eyes of my customer shining, is the possibility to easily switch models, play with the temperature, try different prompts, with an easy web interface. When I was showing them the dev UI, of course they didn't have it in hands. I was sharing my screen and showing them, and they were like, "Oh, that's really crazy." And so it's giving them the ability to experiment different combination of model prompts, etc., etc.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks to you.
Joan?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this presentation. Yeah, most fantastic. I have some comments to Renaud about that you can test multiple parameters. I have an idea that you can join with remote config, because you know that you can use remote config in your backend now, and you can configure some parameters in remote config, and you can get in your backend. This way you can have multiple options, for instance, similar to A/B testing, and you can you can test multiple parameters in your backend. And you can build any plugin that you can get these variables from remote config, okay? And you can test with this. And you can configure the prompts with that prompt in remote config, and you can change that easy way, because any person can change this in remote config, a new prompt, and you can test in your app the new result. I have another ideas and comments. This monitoring is fantastic, and I want to have this service if I am using Gemini SDK or Vertex AI SDK. Yeah, because we have in our company multiple use with Gemini, the typical SDK with Python, or the SDK with Vertex AI. I want to have this service while I am using these SDKs, not only with Firebase Genkit. Yeah, and another services you can join, for instance, performance monitoring, because you can have in performance monitoring, you can have thresholds and you can trigger alerts. Yeah, and you can communicate with your team, for instance, with Slack. You can communicate that any threshold is different. Yeah, the result. I believe that that this will be a good value for the monitoring, because you can have alerts. And another thing, the last thing, is that you can have some metrics about evaluation LLMs. For instance, I know that you know Ragas is a typical framework and library that you can evaluate your LLM applications. You can have some typical measures. For instance, context precision, I don't remember, context recall, or typical natural language comparison, yeah, semantic similarity, yeah, string presence, exact match. Yeah, there are a lot of metrics that you can add to this monitoring. For instance, I can see the results of my prompt, and I can have these metrics that I can compare that this response with this model is good or not, and I can change my model or my prompt or any parameter if I wanna improve my result. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the feedback. I think that that's all great stuff. I want to, alerting is something that's definitely come up for our team. It's something we're thinking about. I will say, because we are backed by cloud monitoring, you can actually set up custom alerts using that data already today. It would just be via the regular cloud alerting stuff, which is pretty configurable. And if you're interested in it, we can try to put together a demo to help show how you might do that. And then there were a bunch of things in there. I'll have to go back to the notes to make sure that we keep track of all these. Those were great recommendations. Awesome. We've got a question in the chat from Manish. Will Firebase Genkit monitoring support customizable dashboards or third-party integrations to help teams improve observability across different tools? This is another great question. And I think at the moment, I can't speak to any plans to do this, but I will say that there's a lot you can do with your own data in Google Cloud. And so we haven't played around with it a ton, but presumably you can export your logs to BigQuery, and you can do all kinds of stuff with the data that you have natively in cloud. And so if you want to create custom dashboards over the stuff that we have here, that is available in the Cloud Console today. So if you all want some like super user kind of demos, we can try to put a couple of those together to show some of those more advanced workflows. But yeah, this is another great feedback, great piece of feedback. So we will definitely think about our interoperability. Yeah, Chris.
Um, I'm curious, are there any specific views for the customizable dashboards that were motivating the question? Like, did you already have features in mind, things you wanted to see? Is Manish still on the call? Yes, but maybe he's not able to speak since he. Yeah, yeah. I mean, are you able to respond over the voice? Basically, my did you already have like some views you felt like are currently missing, or something that you would love to have there to improve your experience?
Yes, sir. What I should do actually? I mean, I'm just blank. I just asked a question. Why? Because I'm working on some projects. I need some databases. Like I need to connect it, and I'm working on some project. Like it's like customer service. We are bringing more updates on it. That's what
Mm.
I'm thinking. We are working on the customer service for the people who don't have the proper English. Nowadays, the English is a common international language, actually. Is it? Yes or no? Can I have an answer for that?
Uh, sorry.
English is a common international language. Is it?
I would say so.
Huh. And it's used in the most interviews. The people do not get to know how to give in proper interview. They can't able to speak. They are blank while speaking. For that, I'm making a software. I'm building new features in it that people could give a better experience in their job wise.
Mm.
This is my product. I want to introduce in the Firebase integration.
Okay.
Th-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, feel free if you've got a specific use case to reach out to us over the Discord, and we're happy to chat there and dig a little deeper
Okay.
Into that specific use case.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Polina.
I just wanted to add that we have several means of getting feedback from the users. So we're actively monitoring Discord, as Cleo mentioned. We have, of course, you can reply in general, but we also have a separate dedicated monitoring channel. Additionally, in the console, you can see that on the top right corner, there's a give feedback button. So we're actively monitoring those responses as well. Just keep in mind that these responses are anonymous. So if you want us to contact you or let us know about your specific thing so we can reach out back, include your email address or some other means of communication as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Polina. If folks don't have any other questions, I have a question for you all, which is, what are your biggest needs in terms of monitoring? What are the biggest gaps you have today? Yeah, Renan.
Yes, I unmute. To be honest, I didn't have time to dive into the monitoring, but clearly, I think for end customer, the aspect of number of tokens, so price, is quite important. So again, I'm pushing outside of the limit of development. Okay, while the monitoring is more from a developer or IT prod user, but clearly having extra information about how does it cost how much it costs. Sorry, will be very interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, and so right now we show you sort of this token view. I'd be really curious to hear, does this serve your needs? Are there more things that you want out of this? So if you get a chance to play with it, please let us know.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have a look. Sorry, like I said, I didn't have time to look into details.
No. Don't
You're-
apologize. Don't apologize at all. Anyone else? We've got a question in the chat here. Chris, do you want to take that one? I want to know
Yeah.
about Genkit. For what
Yeah,
purpose?
I'm already typing up a reply.
Okay, great. And then Manish, did you have another question here
Yes,
or a reply?
as per your question, I can reply that the biggest needs in the monitoring. Hello?
Yeah. Keep going.
The biggest needs in the monitoring today are end-to-end visibility. Teams need to see everything from the user action to the backend processing in one place, and real-time alerts, instant alerts when something goes wrong with the smart detection for the unusual behavior, and custom dashboards. Every project is different, so flexible dashboards are key. And the third party integration, monitoring should connect with other tools like Slack, BigQuery, or GitHub. And next thing comes to the scalability. It must handle high traffic without slowing down the app, and security and access control. The save data and handling the proper access levels for a team member, and the collaboration and the team collaboration, shared views, comments, and easy communication around the issues. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we only have about 3 minutes left. Javi, what do we normally do to wrap this thing up? I'll pass it back to you.
Nothing special. Just to remind everyone to please join the Discord so we can keep the conversation there. And any feedback or everything, you can drop that there. It's more much appreciated. So yeah, with that we can wrap up here.
Awesome.
Thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks
today.
for letting us come and share with y'all. Don't be a stranger in the Discord. We want to help you all, get your production monitoring needs met. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.